Hi everybody, it's Kate from KatyDid. I have a question for you. What do you do when you're feeling blue? I usually go to the river, but for the last few weeks the Yellowstone River has been high, which is good because that's what happens every spring and it renews all the rocks. But I'm really wanting a rock fix. So what's a girl to do? I came to the river. So many beautiful rocks. That's a nice thing to find on my way out. The river is still pretty high, but it has been much higher. We're at a spot here where this beach is usually exposed and it gets as deep as up to my knees, but it's a pretty protected spot and nice to wade around in. I know that I usually am hunting for agates and all kinds of awesome petrified wood and jasper, but since we have this opportunity, I'm sitting here on the gravel bar and I'm just going to pick up a few things and talk about them as I find them. Anyway, let's see what we can find. This little guy is fairly interesting, just completely covered with holes. I'm guessing it's some kind of volcanic rock just because of the way it looks like it's been bubbled. It's hard though, it's hard like quartz or quartzite. So I'm not 100% sure, but it's neat. I just noticed it has this little eye in it that is like an eye agate. Interesting. Here's a nice little piece of granite. Such nice color combination. It'd be a beautiful countertop or something if it was a little bigger. This pretty little piece, I think, is unakite. I only say that because it's pink and green and that's what I've been told unakite looks like. It's pretty hard, and it looks like maybe there's some darker spots in there that are a little softer than the green and the pink, so we probably won't take that home either, but it's pretty. Here's a little piece of what I think is agatized petrified wood. It is a little hard to positively identify because it doesn't have a real strong grain pattern here, but just looking at the end of it makes me think that's what it is. Nice. Now this one is an actual agate. It's not a Montana moss agate because it has, you can see it's got some fortifications in here, but it is what we call a treasure state agate. Has rings and crystals and so cool. That's a pretty fun find just sitting here on the bank, isn't it? This is what I call a milk agate. It's chalcedony, but it has lots of impurities in it, so it has colors. Still pretty though. Offhand, I'd say this one is quartz and feldspar mixed together. I don't know if there's a name for this kind of rock, but it's pretty. If I cut it, it would have gold specks all the way through it, and it's quite hard, so it would probably polish pretty well. Isn't this a lovely little river tumbled rock? This is a quartz type rock as well. Looks like it's got some darker spots in there, but this one is just literally tumbled like you'd do in a tumbler from the river. It's another one of those little jelly beans. This is a piece of conglomerate. A lot of people call this pudding stone, but pudding stone is a very specific rock from Michigan. This is similar, but it's made up of different kinds of components. I'm going to get wet here pretty soon. Kava's going to come shake at me. This is amygdaloidal, I think, basalt. It's not the same color as I would expect basalt to do. This is something that Agate Dad calls galaxy stone, but this is a pretty interesting rock, and it does have this crystally stuff all the way through. Just another beautiful little jelly bean. This one's green and black. Oh, look at how pretty that is. By the way, I'm already feeling much better. Here's a smaller version of that amygdaloidal basalt. And then, I'm not sure what this one is. It's not quite granite, but I like it. More evidence of volcanism. Sort of boring rock that would be pretty to paint on. Sort of a pink granite. Kind of a quartzite. Boring basalt. Maybe jasper. You can see I've kind of cleared the rocks right here. Those were all sitting right in the center here. Ooh, this one's neat. This is one of those feldspar jelly beans. This is a big jelly bean. This is more like an Easter egg. Really pretty though. I'm gonna take some of these home and put them in the tumbler. Okay, time for me to move a little bit. All of the rocks that I just showed you were in an area that was maybe 3 feet around, and I was sitting on some of them. That's pretty. Look at this one. I think it's probably just banded chert. I love the subtle bands. Who would have imagined that I'd be finding beautiful rocks when the river is this high? Okay, before we go back, I'm just going to try a little experiment here. Jasper, not a particularly good piece of jasper, but a jasper. Looks like some porphyry. That's what that's called, porphyry. And let's see, chert, pretty. Brown rock, boring. White rock, sort of boring. Very pretty. Jaspery, agate, something. I already looked at that one. Let's see. What I'm doing here is just grabbing the color. So I don't know what it is under the water exactly. This one is quartzite and it's very river stained. Kind of a basalty kind of pebble. It's a very pretty granite type stone. Kava has the zoomies. Here is a lovely piece of tumbled river quartz. So smooth. You know, the rocks get so beautiful when they're tumbled in the river. I love it. Alright, I moved a couple steps and I'm just going for the color again. This piece of jasper was speaking to me. Isn't that pretty? Let's see what else we have here. I don't know what to call that. Some kind of hard, like jaspery material, but it looks like it's got some crystal structure, so I'm not really sure. And here is a big chunk of nothing. This is very interesting. Banded chert, I guess, but look at the band. It's like huge. The nice thing about rocks from the Yellowstone is that almost all of them polish, well, no, not almost all of them, lots of them polish really nicely. Let's see what this one is. This one probably wouldn't polish so nicely. It looks like it's a little softer. It's a little piece of chert. Chert and jasper are essentially the same rock. It's just the color is different. I picked this one up earlier, and I'm still sort of on the fence about whether it is a metamorphic rock, like schist type thing, or if it's petrified wood. If you have thoughts on the matter, let me know. I very cleverly got the dog to come over here, and she was all wet because she charged through the water, and so now she's shaken off and showed us some of the beautiful stuff that is on the shore. You see anything you wish I'd picked up? One really interesting thing about these rocks is how many different colors there are. Now I know from experience that this is probably not actually yellow. The river stains white quartz yellow. I've cut into it with great disappointment, but it's still pretty. It's better hunting in the sunshine. In the sunshine and in the water. This stuff is pretty abundant. That's pretty, isn't it? This is a tiny little piece of chalcedony, full of holes, kind of milky. I was hoping it would be the first agate of the season, but it's not. It's pretty by itself, though. Speaking of the first agate of the season, it's not a great one, but it's an agate. This is awfully pretty. I recently learned this stuff is called porcelainite. I was calling it siltstone. It comes in all kinds of different colors all up and down the Yellowstone, even purple and blue. One last little pebble. You know I always pick up the big three, and usually I'm looking for larger stones, but the Yellowstone has treasures of all shapes and sizes. I'm happy to be here. Well, that was fun. A day by the river is always good for what ails you. Thanks for coming along. This is Kate from KatyDid. Keep on doing. Okay, this is a little hilarious. I took the dog for a walk just up above before we got back in the car, and look what's in the gravel. That is a nice agate. What a nice goodbye present. Thank you, river.